أسري إليك أسري إليك أسري.
Develop Nigeria. How has Nigeria felt with these policies?
Now, you recall that before Buhari came on board, Nigeria was in a state of total rot in the area of corruption, in the area of a mono economy that we had, relying solely on oil exports, to meet our budgetary expenses, and also the issue of insurgency. I mean, you mentioned it, the economy, and corruption and security. When Buhari came on board, of course, he had a focused mind of what he wanted to do. And I believe when he came on board, he set out to do them. And I will explain. In the area of insecurity, and insurgency, before Buhari came on board, between 14 and 18 local governments in the northeast were totally under the feet, as it were, of the Boko Haram. The Boko Haram had colonized those local government areas. They had driven out the police, the army, all civil servants there. They had closed down all schools and colleges and even medical facilities. And they had enslaved the people of those 14 to 18 local governments. And all the years of the PDP administration, they did nothing. They were incapable of routing the Boko Haram elements. But within 6 months that Buhari came on board, he drove out and liberated, he drove out the Boko Haram elements from those 14 local governments and liberated them. Again, Sambisa Forest was headquarters of Boko Haram. Again, the Boko Haram were dislodged from them. Recall that before Jonathan left office, as a result of the cries of the Borno state governor that the Boko Haram were better equipped militarily than the Nigerian army, initially the governor was condemned by the PDP elements that he was raising unnecessary alarm and all of that. But later, the then President Jonathan took a prayer, a request to the National Assembly to approve $1 billion for the purchase of arms and ammunition for the armed forces. This request was approved promptly by the Senate. But what did we see? Not one kobo of that $1 billion, that is 360 billion naira, was used to buy a single ammunition. What the then president and his cohorts within the military and the political class did was to put the money on the table and share it among them, thus continuing the deprivations of the lives and liberties of people in the colonized local government areas who were being killed, who were being maimed, their women were being raped, almost without any, hinge or any restriction. Imagine how many people would have died under that scenario in the hands of Boko Haram. But within the first 6 months, Buhari routed and liberated those areas. That is a major feat which the world recognizes. Of course, there are some politically mischievous people in Nigeria who would not want the public to know this major achievement. Of course, the Boko Haram elements had to resort to hitting soft targets like suicide bombing in markets, in mosques, and all of that. Of course, nobody can foresee that. But I want to assure you that today, those people who have been liberated are returned to normal life. Again, those of them who had run away from the areas of battlefield and who had been camped in IDPs, again have had their safe return guaranteed back to their homes, and they are now living normal lives. Again, all the infrastructure, schools which were burned down, medical facilities which were burned down, roads, infrastructure, communications infrastructure, road infrastructure, bridges which had been destroyed, are all now being rehabilitated with billions of naira and billions of dollars. So these are major achievements. The fact that new kinds of terrorism is evolving cannot put a lie to the fact that what Buhari knew before he came on board and over which he made commitments, he has fulfilled those commitments. These are new challenges which government is living up to the task. For instance, in kidnapping in the northwest now, the government has deployed both the Air Force, the soldiers and police to all of those areas. And using newly purchased gunboats, they are also dislodging the criminals from the northwest. A lot of work is ongoing. It is unfortunate that the northwest, which has been, majorly Muslim populated area, is where you will be having this kind of godless action by miscreants, by hooligans, by criminals. I think that statement will be a most irresponsible statement. Look, these criminals go to the mosques to bomb the mosques. They go to marketplaces where both Muslims and Christians patronize to bomb those places. Of course, they go to churches too, just like they go to mosques. There are more mosques being attacked than there are churches. In fact, in the northwest, the 90% of the victims are Muslims. So for anybody to mischievously make that statement is most irresponsible. And I think, those who make such statements should be ashamed of themselves. It calls to question their sincerity. It calls to question their objectivity. It calls to question their patriotism. I mean, you don't throw a baby away with the bathwater. And you must be fair enough to admit successes of even your enemies. So I think it's balderdash.
Okay, let's come back to economy.
On the economy, when the presidency came on board, the new presidency of Buhari, Nigeria was a mono economy. So the major decision of the presidency was to ensure the diversification of the nation's economy away from oil. Because look, Nigeria has had petroleum for close to 60 years. It has not transformed Nigeria into a developed country. Whereas there are countries which never had oil, some of which do not even have land to do agriculture. And they have surpassed Nigeria in all indices of development. So, government decided that agri must be given greater impetus. Before Buhari came on board, 90% of the rice being consumed in Nigeria was foreign rice from Thailand, imported. You can imagine how much Nigerian money was going to Thailand in the name of rice importation, when Nigeria has sufficiently fertile land and sufficiently large expanse of land all across the country. So government decided, number one, to stop imports of rice from land borders. In other words, curtailing importation, smuggling of rice. A lot of the rice coming by land is, imported into Benin Republic and smuggled into Nigeria. So the customs have been invigorated to, ensure greater fight against the importation of rice. And in the same vein, the government has encouraged the production of rice such that today, rather than the 90% of consumed rice in Nigeria being imported, it is now 90% being locally produced. It is possible for you to see elites who are so tied to importation to tell you they don't see any rice being imported. They can't find local rice. But the other man will tell you from all parts of the country that there has been increment in the production of rice. As a matter of fact, from about 4 million rice producers earlier on, farmers, today you have 12 million Nigerian farmers of rice. So to such an extent that the producers of rice in Thailand, because the unemployment has taken a lot of taking possession of them, they are now coming to beg us in Nigeria to allow them to come and help us process the rice that we produce. Today, there have been several rice mills, more than 100 new rice mills within the last 3 years. At least I eat of other rice every now and then. You know, so what government is doing, we are not paying lip service to this. We are not paying lip service. We are seriously in tune with what is our promises and the fact that we must give examples. So, I mean, if I eat foreign rice, would that be justification for us to continue to allow import? I mean, we Nigerians must ensure that we attune ourselves to change. We spend a lot of money here. If you concentrate on imported rice, the economy will continue to go down because it is our foreign exchange that will be taking flight away from Nigeria. You see, in the past, government was also borrowing, but they were not using those borrowed money to bring transformation to Nigeria. Capital, infrastructural requirements. And I'll give you an example. The last budget of the PDP government provided only 19 billion for federal roads for a whole year. 19 billion for all federal roads of more than 35,000 kilometers. 19 billion. Not a kobo of that money was spent on any road. In 2017 alone, the Buhari government spent 276 billion naira on roads. Recall that the Oyo-Ogbomoso road, which was being built by the federal government, was abandoned for about 17 years. Today, by the grace of General Muhammadu Buhari, that road is nearing completion now on Oyo-Ogbomoso road. Recall also that for more than 2 years, the Lagos-Ibadan road, which was being reconstructed, had been abandoned for 2 years. Contractors were no more on site. Laborers were no more on site. Nothing was going there. Today, you know very well that traveling from Ibadan to Lagos is a new experience of comfort and of convenience. Before Buhari came on board, there was no talk about having a railway from Lagos to Ibadan express. Today, in another 2 months, we will have a new rail system to transport people from Lagos to Ibadan in less than 45 minutes. You recall also that Abuja, Kaduna Express rail line is ongoing. It is more popular now, particularly because of threat of kidnapping. Even elites and big men use the railways now. This is what we're trying to do. And the railway system that we are doing is to link not only Lagos to Ibadan, but to go up to Kano. From Kano to go to Maiduguri. From Maiduguri to go to Calabar. From Calabar to come to Lagos. So it will form a sort of ring across Nigeria. These are monies that are being taken as loan, foreign loans. We have foreign loans. We do not have enough financial capability to bring about this transformative thing. So, taking loan is not bad in itself once the loans are being utilized to transform Nigeria. When you have very good roads, of course, it helps the economy grow. People who want to move goods and produce from one place to the other will do it so easily, so conveniently, and within shorter time. And then you save a lot of money from transportation, a lot of money and time. So people who criticize, a lot of them are ignorant. They just criticize for the sake of criticizing. People should be vigilant enough to ask questions about what are these monies being used for. If government has to say because it doesn't have money, so it remains without doing anything, how would it be able to justify the fact that it came into office on the platform of people's mandate?
أسري إليك أسري إليك أسري إليك.
Because I am supposed to be part of that leadership of APC. Remember that with all due sense of humility, I'm the highest federal office holder from Oyo State. And that means I must be given that respect, and there must be inclusiveness in government. I've always, unfortunately, been a victim of the, machinations of the leadership of our party in the state. I recall that before we became APC, I was also a co-contestant for the governorship with Ajimobi. He never forgave me for having contested with him in 2011. And when I was nominated to the position of minister in 2015, he went all out to ensure that I didn't get it, including lobbying members of the National Assembly after having failed to convince Mr. President to drop me. And consistently, I had been alienated from the running of the party in the state. I am the first person to have bought and donated 2 buses for the party in Oyo State. I have also bought 7 other buses for the different local government branches of the party. And I've consistently, in my own little way, supported the party financially when the need arises. Of course, I pay my tax to the, tax quote and unquote to the party. But Governor Ajimobi, because he does not want anybody who is as wise as him, ensured always that I was highlighted. So I'm the person to be complaining. It's not the party. No. And what you see, again, what the party has done and has led to bringing a party to the precipice is the fact that it has always ensured that there is no internal democracy in the party in Oyo State. Look, I would always fight injustice, no matter where it comes from. In 1983, 82, 83, I was expelled because I called for the probing of certain contracts which I felt were being corruptly done. I got to the House of Assembly. I was a member of the House of Assembly. I moved a motion for the setting up of a committee to probe certain contracts at that time. The House upheld the motion, but by the second day, another motion was brought to invalidate the previous motion which had been upheld, and to ensure that the committee to probe was done away with. And so the party at that time considered that as anti-party activity. And I said, what is anti-party activity? In the House of Assembly, which is supposed to provide oversight to the executive in trying to have information about how government is being run. You see, it baffles me that we consider ourselves as progressives, and yet we keep doing those things that so-called conservatives are doing. So what distinguishes us as progressives? If we would not allow transparency and accountability in governance. So when they eventually, threw me out of the party, I had no option than to join another party. I mean, you cannot divorce a wife and say she shouldn't marry another husband. So I promptly, looked for another party, and I went. And by the grace of God, the UPN lost that election. Just like in the recent past, when through all kinds of subterfuge, I was disallowed for contesting for the primary of the party because Ajimobi didn't want to take the risk of having me contest primary in case I may win. So, and I said to the party, if you deny me the ticket of the party, there's no way you can win the governorship election. It was a prediction. God heard my prayer. God knew that I was being victimized, and God, did what He did in ensuring that no injustice should go unpunished.
Why do you think you are the best?
Number one, let me tell you, I'm the oldest political actor in Oyo State. Consistently, I've been in politics for 40 years. For your information, and with due respect to Governor Ajimobi, his father was my colleague in the House of Assembly. his father, the late Alhaji Gani Ajimobi. If for nothing else, he should give me that respect. Apart from being in the House of Assembly for whole 4 years, and I was one of the most dynamic members in the then Oyo State House of Assembly. I was also commissioner twice. In 1983, I was commissioner for Home Affairs, Information and Culture. In 2007, I was Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State. For 4 years, I was also a member of the Judicial Service Commission of Oyo State. And by the grace of God, today, I am the Minister of Communications. Tell me who else in Oyo State
That's the experience.
has that kind of experience, spanning over 40 years.
Now,
So, you see, if I have, and for most of these periods, it has been sacrifice. I had engaged in principled politics. Thank God, God has given me all the ideas. He has given me good health. He has given me the strength of character. He has also given me the ideas to we can really transform society. So when you refuse to provide a level playing field for all the members equally, of course, you bring about a curse on yourself, spiritual curse on yourself.
So
I want to appeal to Nigerians that they have a duty to be praying for the success of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. It is God who donated Buhari to us. It is God who knew that he's one selfless Nigerian who is not greedy, who is not looking for money, who is not materialistic, and who has passion for the less privileged. It is our duty to leave all, irrelevancies and sincerely pray for his success. If he succeeds, Nigerians will be the greatest, beneficiaries.
okay.
So that is my prayer. And that apart from the prayer, they should support him. They should provide guidance also where they think he needs advice or where they think government needs advice. I will continue to also pray that God would give all our leaders the will to do right. I am not happy that a lot of our leaders are seriously working at all levels of governance now, that they are seriously working for the betterment of society. A lot of leaders are very greedy, they are very, very corrupt, and they become lost when they get to offices and they take care only of their own interests and the interests of their immediate families. That should not be the way to go.
All right, sir.
أسري إليك أسري إليك أسري إليك